Hi, McKenna.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Good. I put a little disclaimer in the chat. I just want everyone to know I'm not, representing you, just giving legal advice as well as I can, depending on what state you're in. Do you want to go ahead with your question?
Yes. So I just lost a court case for final decision making in parenting and school education.
Okay.
My daughter just started kindergarten and she will now be attending school 45 minutes away from her home base.
Okay.
Um, I have no idea where to go from here.
Why did that happen? Who moved? Did you move away or did the other
So
parent
we
move
were
away?
we were never together. We've
Okay.
been co-parenting from the beginning. He moved from we were in Gilbert. I've been in Gilbert, Arizona her whole life in the
Okay.
same home.
Okay.
He moved away. He's moved actually 3 or 4 times since he's been out here, and he decided to move to North Phoenix.
Okay.
So we went to court, and I have no idea. I mean, I self-represented, and he got a lawyer, which was my mistake. But he somehow won, regardless of her having younger siblings, regardless of her having to travel 45 minutes to get to and from school. Also, the school choice that I had given only alternated our parenting time by one day
Okay.
because we have a split week. So I've been having her Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesday days. He gets her Wednesday nights, has her Thursday, Friday, and we alternate Saturdays.
Okay.
The school that I proposed would have been Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So instead of doing drop offs on Wednesdays, we would have changed them to Thursdays. I offered to give him Saturdays to make up for that lost parenting time, or 48 days throughout the year, 82 summer days.
Okay.
I lost. I have
Did the judge give any reasoning?
not that I've seen. We did a temporary order and then a motion. He said that the temporary order would not be different than the motion. The
Mhm.
paperwork has not come through for that. I don't know if I just didn't explain it clearly, if,
But you
you
pointed out
know,
that the child has siblings, that this would be
yes,
45-minute drive.
yes. I even put maps in there to show the start point and the end point and how long that would be. And I said to our parenting time that we've had the last 4 years, she will go from driving in the car 2 hours to 6 hours, 90 miles to 160 miles, and the added undue duress that her sisters will have for traveling time, being that they will be in the car double the amount
Mhm.
because they have to drive all the way there, drop her off, and then come all the way back home with me
Right.
in traffic. And also just that it's fundamental for her development being in school with her sisters. They're close in age. They're only going to be one grade behind each other. And now she won't be going to school with her sisters. So I don't know how good a shot a reconsideration is, but I just am at a loss
Okay, well, I mean,
of
I
where to
think
go
that,
from here.
yeah, I mean, that's probably your only bet because, I mean, the judge is the one that heard everything. I mean, here's the thing about judges, right? So when I take a case or talk to people about a case, it's a 50-50, right? You could have the best, like, evidence, you could have the best argument, you could have the best whatever, but we don't know what's in the judge's head or why they make the decisions they do. And so that's why, if at all possible, which obviously wasn't possible in this case, encourage people not to go to court if they don't have to, right? Because you never
Right.
ever know what a judge is going to decide. And I mean, did the judge ask questions that gave you any
Nope.
clue as to what? So the
He
judge
asked
didn't ask
zero
either.
questions.
And it's the judge that's assigned to the case. It wasn't like a stand-in or
So, well, there was an original judge that was assigned to the case, and then it got switched at some point because
hmm
I had called a lawyer and got a consultation, and he was like, "Oh, well, this is this judge, and he's very fair, so you shouldn't have to be too worried about that with the sisters and this and that." And I mean, that was my naiveness, is I just went in thinking, okay, like I'm presenting the
yeah,
facts, not feelings. This
right.
is very plain in sight. Like I don't understand, and then it switched at some point, and yeah, no questions were asked. The only thing that I see on the temporary order was that he looked at the facts and the demeanor And I value my co-parenting relationship with her father because it's so good. And I made the mistake of I didn't want to go on the attack. I didn't want to be like, how many times have you moved since you've been here? The house that you're in is with a girlfriend, not a wife. So if you guys split up, then you're not going to be on that house. Like all of that stuff. It just felt, I just didn't. And I made that mistake, I
Right.
guess, because I wanted to intact our relationship because it's so important for her to not
Right.
have to feel any anxieties between the parents.
Right. Well, okay, so I'm not going to say you made a mistake, right? But that is the benefit of a lawyer. They're
Right.
not going to be nice, right?
Right.
And people, I think particularly women, tend to be nicer and not want to make
Yeah.
waves and not want to push that kind of stuff. But I mean, when I cross-examine someone, I'm brutal, and
Yeah.
I want to show. I would have been asking him, how many times have you moved? You're the one that moved away from this situation.
Right.
This is what's happening. You are not stable. So, I mean, I think it's worth, if you want to do a consultation with us and then, hire someone to help you with the motion for reconsideration. I mean, there's a lot that could possibly, I can't say just from this conversation, but
Right.
I mean, what's the harm in doing it? I mean, you're already at worst case scenario, right? So where you are now is worst case scenario.
Right. And and if I do a reconsideration, I just send it over to his lawyer saying that I'm doing this.
I mean, if you're going to file it, what do you mean send it to his lawyer?
Like he has to be aware that I'm doing a reconsideration.
Well, he's only aware when you've filed it.
Right. Okay.
Don't give him a heads up.
Right. Right.
See, like you're being too nice. Like,
how often do reconsiderations actually get reconsidered?
I mean, it's hard to say, right?
It's like I'm not presenting new evidence.
Well, you would additional, right? I mean, the problem is was the judge not aware that he had moved away, that he had created this problem? Was the judge aware that you've been in the same place and the girl has had disability? And did you? But you didn't ask questions of your ex of like, how many times have you moved? What's the likelihood that you're going to stay in this situation? So, I mean, that is new information, right? It's also, I mean, it's hard to say like appeals aren't often, successful, but some are. So it's really, again, probability. I mean, if you have a 10% chance of swaying the judge, isn't that worth it? Because you know that this is going to make your life harder if you have to stick with this. I mean, if you do, you do, and then you see, you take over the next year, the evidence, of how difficult this is on everybody, right?
Right. And then at that point, I could then be bringing in new evidence and open it back up again.
Well, you'd probably do a modification in a year if, there's been a substantial change, and the substantial changes, the child is suffering because, she's spending this much time in the car, her neighborhood friends are having parties she can't go to, stuff like that, right? So, I mean, those are the kinds of things, right, when you make an argument about a kid is like neighborhood school. Well, what does that mean? There's going to be kids playing. There's going to be, parties happening that your child's not going to be part of. How is she going to go to socialize?
I know, but that's the thing is I'm going to be taking her away from that if she's been in that school for a year. That will be his argument.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's a good one. I mean, she has siblings. She has a local school, I mean.
Yeah.
I think it's worth doing. I mean, you might as well.
Okay.
Whether
so
you
if I
hire
hire
someone to represent you or not,
Right. And a reconsideration would that be limited scope because it's paperwork that we're just filing?
Just look that up and see. I think, let's see. I mean, you may get another hearing, so let's see. I mean, right, so you'd have to have the new evidence. I don't know that it would be considered new evidence, so I'm not. I mean, you could just file it. You could either have someone help you. You could do the law clinic. We do have the legal clinic that would help you.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would be considered new evidence.
Right.
Because, right, you could have brought it up. There's not really an error in law, and there's no change in the law.
Right.
I mean, the worst case is you get shot down, right? But then you're
Right.
preparing yourself for the next if you do a modification in the future. But
Now, parenting time is different than school choice. So what
mean, is
happens
there
if we
any
don't
way of
agree on
talking-
parenting time?
I mean, then you're gonna have to
Right. Go
fight
to
that
court.
out too, right? I mean, you said you have a good parenting relationship, co-parenting relationship with him. It
Yeah, this is our first run-in.
doesn't sound good to me. Do you think it's because of the new person in his life?
She's been in his life for a long time. I definitely think that she is the pant wearer, and I think that there was probably a lot of pushing on her end to be like, this is, because that's the thing is he presented it as he had the best school for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I even said, although I focused on this school because this works with our parenting time, I also have the best schools right next to me. I have the number 1 school in Arizona, the number 3 school in Arizona, the number 4 school. So I presented all these other schools that are right here that we could also discuss her going to. And he presented 1 school.
And what was the compelling information about that 1 school?
Just that it's a great school. Just
But
that it's a top-rated school.
Did you bring that up did you bring that up also?
Yeah.
The rankings of the school by you?
Yep.
I mean, it's so hard to say why a judge decides anyway, right?
Right. That's how I feel. It's like, I'm like, I can't appeal because I don't agree, but I don't think he did what was in her best interest, especially since I was willing to talk about multiple things. I have another question too. We were supposed to present each other with all of the information on the 22nd. Was he also supposed to give me his separate pre-trial information before filing it? Because I didn't get that until the 27th, which was the last filing date. And it was only then when I saw all of that he had an issue with my school choice, because he never said anything about having an issue with my school choice. And that would have been like, I tried to throw it together last minute because I was like, well, wait a minute, there are plenty of good schools that aren't this school by me that are higher rated than Madison.
So he missed the deadline, or he just gave it to you at the last minute?
I believe he missed the deadline because I got everything else on the 22nd, but I didn't get that piece of information until the 27th, which was the final filing date for
the pre-trial statement.
Right. Our court order said no later than the 22nd, each party must exchange all information. And then it was 7 days before the trial date that we had to file with the clerk. But I didn't get that.
Did you bring that up in the hearing?
No, because I didn't know until after I lost. And then I was like, well, wait a second. And then I started looking at things and being like, I didn't even get this. So I don't know if that's new information. Like, I never got this.
Well, okay, so I'm looking at the grounds for filing the reconsideration. I mean, it's a clear error of law is one. I mean, you could say that the judge did not accurately interpret the best interest of the child statute,
Right.
I mean, so he's not applying the law correctly, right?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it doesn't hurt. But would that fact that I didn't get that piece of information till after the fact be something that I could file as new information? Like, the new information of him having issue with my school choice wasn't brought into my attention until after the fact. So I wasn't able to be properly prepared for court,
right?
Because I didn't have that information. So when I said, because I was only able to talk about the schools that are better located near me in my opening statement, because at that point it was already past the time to be able to file it.
Right. Yes, I mean, I think that's compelling, right? You weren't able to properly prepare, but I mean, you did have your school. I mean, your main issue really isn't about the school, right?
That's what I tried to tell the judge, though. I said that
right.
I was like, this is not about the school. This is about the proximity to which we want her to be close to us.
Right.
And she has 2 younger sisters she should go to school with. This school works for us because our parenting time, but I'm more than happy to look at other schools. I'm like, I even brought up, once they start school, how am I supposed to get to them to school on time at 8 a.m. and her to school at time at 8 a.m. across
Right. And can you,
Phoenix?
right. Yeah. And the judges don't care about that. They're like, well, that's your
Okay.
problem. Figure it out.
Right.
Right. They're
Okay.
like that.
Right.
And then they would say, fine, then leave the kid with him over there. You know what I mean?
Right. Leave him, like, exactly. And that's the thing, is I don't want to bite my nose to spite my face and lose my time with her.
Well, and the likelihood is that in a year it may be a different judge. You don't know. I mean, so you try the reconsideration now and then just see. I mean, that the best interest statute wasn't applied. That, right? This is going to be so burdensome on the child and cause stress. And then if she stayed at this, like if she didn't go to that school, would she go to school with the siblings?
Yes. If I got final decision making, then they'll all go to school together.
I mean, you brought that up, right?
Yeah.
He didn't care?
I guess not. I'm telling you, I was just floored. Everyone was floored. It just didn't make any sense, because I was like, everything that I've offered is flexibility. Everything that I offered is meeting him halfway. Everything that I offer is some kind of thing, all for her best interest. How do you choose this school? Like, it's like he looked at it and flipped a coin and said, well, this is the better school. And it's like, but I offered better schools.
Yeah, none of it makes sense, but I've been in court many times where it just doesn't, right?
Right.
Right.
So I didn't know, like, do I just put my best foot forward and over the next 6 months just log as much information? Like, I volunteer at the school, because that's the thing is I prioritize my parenting, you know, like my job is revolved around being with the kids. So like, if I show up every day, or, you know, I'm volunteering at the school 6 times a month and he doesn't volunteer at all.
Right.
In 6 months, I'm like, listen, I want to be a part of the school and her life. I've shown that. I drive all the way out there.
Right.
Make it impossible for me to do that once her sisters start attending school.
Right.
It's only kindergarten. Also,
and so
I
really
wanted her to be a half day.
Well, you need to focus on her, right? So everything, just focus on her, not you, right? Judges don't seem to care if it's inconvenient for the parents. So it's like burdensome. Everything, this is burdensome to the child. It's also the child's not, you know, she's losing out on the benefit of having her parent there, an involved parent. He's not involved, you know. But what about working with him? I mean, you say you have a good co-parenting relationship. So what changed?
Well, that's the thing is he wanted her to go to that school, and I was like, I've looked at
Based
every
solely
option.
On what? Just it's better.
He wants to walk her to school. He wants to be right next to her at school, and I truly don't believe that he really knows everything that's going to come with school, like how much a mama does when it comes to school, right. The activities, the plays, the this, the that, everything that goes into it.
Right.
And it's a lot. There's a part of me that says, put my best foot forward, document everything that I can. Maybe it comes on its own.
Right.
And we change it on our own.
Right.
And
you can talk to him, and you can talk to him and say, look, these are the things I would be able to do if she was over here. So maybe he has this time and then is not able to do anything.
Right. So he gets to be close to her, but then work is in the way, this is in the way. And I just take the next 6 months to show that, like, hey, this is how it went down. We tried it, but it just shows that, like, Luna's going to miss out.
Right.
I mean, unless the judge is like, well, you've been doing it this whole time, so what's going to stop you now? But at the same time, I'm like, her sister starting school will affect it.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. You've already got a judicial decision. It'd be one thing if we were talking about prior to. Again, you can try the reconsideration, whether it will work or not. You know, what I would say is that, you know, the best interests of the child statute wasn't properly applied, that this is going to be really burdensome on the child, you know, and she's going to miss out on a lot of things.
But that's still, a reconsideration will always be reviewed by the same judge that made the order.
Right.
So it's basically me going, you were wrong, and then him going, no, I wasn't.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's
just a bunch of males.
That's why you might want legal help or not, right? So that's kind of, right? So you can do the other things where you just start documenting, communicate with the ex. Look, these are the things she's missing out on. I mean, again, twice you've said you've had a good relationship with him. So maybe he gets this time and he'll see, and also see what he's putting you through.
Yeah. And that's the thing is I'm like, right, because he doesn't know when you have to put little people in the car
Right.
to drive an hour and a half
Right.
and go nowhere. But
Right.
that's why I couldn't believe a judge couldn't see that. I'm like, you're going to put two little children in a car for an hour.
Right. Okay, well, you're cutting out or you're freezing a lot. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay. McKenna, can you hear me? Okay, we'll move. Daniel, can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Daniel. Go ahead.
Awesome. I have you on a Bluetooth speaker, so hopefully there isn't any feedback.
No, I don't hear any.
Okay, great. I'm new to the group. I was just listening in. McKenna sounds kind of similar to my situation, although the school choice thing was an issue years ago. But yeah. Anyways, I'm kind of dealing with some other decision-making issues where mom and I can't agree on, well, something that's been going on for nearly 3 years. The interesting part is that we both agree to. Oh, let me give you some context of what the
Okay.
situation is. So mom and I both go to the same church, and we both agree that our oldest son, who's going to be turning 11 in December, that we agree for him to be baptized in the church.
Okay.
The problem is that when it comes to who will be doing those ordinances, where the disagreement was largely hung upon. And then even after finally coming to an agreement, we could never set a date.
Okay.
And after several months going back and forth, we did get a date. But the fact that it's taken 3 years to get to this point has kind of made me wonder if this would constitute as a change of circumstances, just for the fact that without going all into the details, but there's a long email chain of communication back and forth of just where I will ask for a specific date and she doesn't respond. And so I feel like, and then one more important piece of context, I did petition to modify decision making, but it was still within that 1 year where I had to wait. So it didn't. I tried to go for the non-compliance elements of 25-411, but it's a really hard threshold. So the judge dismissed the petition, but I think that got her attention where she finally committed to a date for our son's master's.
Let me ask you a question. Do you guys use a parenting app?
No, and even in the request that if we use one has been made in the past, the judge never ordered it. So
really,
yeah, the judge even openly said that she didn't believe in it. So she just was like, no, I'm not going to.
Where are you located?
Maricopa County, Arizona. Yeah,
the judge said she didn't believe in parenting apps.
Yeah, this is Judge Edelstein.
Wow.
Family law anymore. She's been moved to criminal, but yeah, that was what she said. And ever since, we haven't had a parenting app. But we have, emails that span over the course of about 3 years, and yeah.
Okay, so now you have a different judge. You could have a different judge, but you're not in the year. I mean, what I would suggest, and the ex will just not. She refuses to use the parenting app.
I wouldn't say she refuses, but if she doesn't have to, if she's not forced to do something, I don't think she's going to do it. This costs money. And,
there is a free one. There's one called App Close, and the benefit of those apps is, number one, people know that other people, like a paralegal, a judge, whatever, will be able to see that stuff, and it tells you when a message was sent, when it was received, when it was looked at, when it was responded to, and so it's easier to see. I know, I mean, email and whatever has timestamps as well, but it's easier to see because it comes out like in a transcript form. And so, I mean, you've tried it. I would try it again if you are going to try to, modify. I mean, I think basically she's just slow in responding, right? I mean, it's kind of avoidant behavior.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it's slow. It's just ignoring and just kind of
She
kicking the
just,
can.
if she doesn't want to deal with it, she won't.
Well, my personal opinion is that she wants things to be done her specific way, and
Mm,
and because of the disagreement earlier on about who does baptism, um, I think she doesn't want to capitulate to that, even though she agreed to that. I don't think her intentions really are to follow through, and um, I don't think well, again, I'm speaking in terms of now, and I
right,
think it's because of the petition and just considering the history that's happened. I think she's a little bit nervous that because of her prolonging just the communication to get towards a committed date, I think she's a little bit nervous about consequences involved with that.
right,
And now she's telling me like, oh, well, I don't feel like we need to, involve the court because we have a date, and there were some other issues with school and stuff too that were resolved in the past, but they weren't really in good faith. The thing here that I'm trying to express is that the co-parenting dynamics for decision making are extremely prolonged, to
right,
where it takes more than a reasonable amount of time to make agreement, to the point where, in this case, for the baptism, it's taking nearly 3 years.
right.
So, my main question, it goes back to like if this constitutes as a change of circumstance, and I'm at the time where I can petition now. My original petition was about a month and a week ago,
Mm-hmm.
and
Here's I would say no, and I wouldn't go to the court. Um, I would just because I don't think you're gonna get what you want out of them, and they're just gonna be like, oh, you two just don't get along, kind of thing. Um, and that's not considered urgent, right? I mean, it might be for religious people, of course, but the other thing is, let's say you just went and got him baptized, right? And then what would she do? She would take you to court over that? I mean, like, what if you just make some decisions and get some things done? Is she going to then file against you?
well, I don't think so. And there's some more context into this than what I've shared already. It's just a lot of nuances, obviously.
Right.
So on July 5th, mom unilaterally planned a baptism beforehand, got all the church leaders involved, had the font ready to go. She texted my family asking if they were coming, and she knew that there wasn't an agreement. So she went and just did this kind of stage of preparing this event for him that she knew and she was aware there was no agreement for that date. She acted unilaterally, got my family and other church leaders involved. So I think there's that element. Plus, there's one more besides the baptism is that mom had a significant number of school absences within the past
Hmm.
few school years. Um, we're talking like 20 plus absences.
Well, that's a lot more. That's compelling. The baptism, I don't think anyone's really going to care about. Honestly, I don't mean that to be rude, but it's not something urgent, right? Whereas this school absences, and you can prove that they're on her time.
Yes, yeah. The school records I've already compiled that to show that they are on her time only, and she's contributed to 20 plus
And
alone.
what does she say? What's her reason for that?
Well, she told me, well, the kids get sick, but the weird fact is that I don't get any kind of medical or communication emails from her. There isn't really anything to substantiate her claim, but they're just dubious. And so the thing is that we already have trust issues, but she also has been very resistant to the school that the kids go to, and I don't think she really cares to take them there. And this goes way back, but she's openly admitted to some emails that, oh, I had family stuff going on, but the kids come back with sunburn, and they're telling me about how they did like water activities and stuff instead of going to school. So I'm just I'm not convinced that these absences were actually due to illness. Some of them may have been, and that's fine.
But this is an 11-year-old we're talking about, right? So,
Yeah, we're talking. I have three kids. 10-year-old who's 10 now, and then I have a soon-to-be 8-year-old, and then a 5-year-old.
so the 5-year-old I could see getting more sick, but 10 and 11-year-olds generally don't get very sick, right? Like, littler kids will get the earaches, this and that, but like,
Yeah.
that seems to me quite suspect, right? Like, if
Yeah.
again, you just heard McKenna's whole story, and I mean, it's a 50-50 with judges, right? So, I mean, if you're doing this yourself, you're not paying a lawyer and you're able to take that time off of work and go to court and you want to try, I don't see why not. But I really don't think the baptism stuff is going to be it. I mean, it's like you can use it as an example. Okay, this is an example of it took us 3 years to, be able to agree on time and a person to do it. But this missing that kind of school, that's so detrimental to a child, right?
I agree. And so the thing is, what I'm looking for is kind of the, where it becomes significant. And I feel like in some cases, they could justify, and she could try and weasel her way saying, oh, kids got sick. And yeah,
Right.
of course they were fine when dad picked them up because I was taking care of them.
Right.
There's no records. It's just her testimony. And
But how does the kid get sick 20 times? I mean, come on. Like kids don't miss 20 days a year unless they have like a illness, like a serious, like long chronic illness, right? Like
right, yeah, I agree. It
they
was
might-
it. Your reaction is exactly what I'm looking for. It's
right,
I'm trying to find if somebody raises an eyebrow and they hear, yeah, my kid has 20 plus absences.
right.
It's not just this past school year; it was the previous one, and then the one before that there was about 16 absences. So I'm just kind of like, there's a pattern here. It's not isolated.
Yeah, that's absurd. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like it's just, but again, with judges, every time you go to court, it's a 50-50. No matter how good your case is, it really just depends on what the judge cares about, right? And so you've been shot down already, so you have to say, okay, but this was and I can't believe a judge would say she doesn't believe in parenting apps. Like, that's just shocking to me. And I've never had a judge not order the use of a parenting app. It just makes everything easier. But to me, I mean, that's just common sense. Maybe a young child, right, when they're first getting their immunity, they're in preschool, kindergarten, sure, they get sick more. But older kids don't get sick like that. And it affects their schoolwork, it affects their social life, it can affect their extracurricular activities. It sounds like she just doesn't want to do it.
And I appreciate your feedback on that because here's the other unique part is that my son, the oldest, he's remarkably smart, and I'm not saying that to toot my horn, but he does
Right.
very well in school, and so that's where I'm having trouble.
Right.
Hey, there's a lot of absences, but he's not failing, and my other child, she struggles in math, and like that's about the only subject, but she's doing fine in all the other classes. So I'm like, I'm trying to tie in some correlating
Right.
elements to that. Look, just because they're doing okay academically, in my opinion, I feel like it's just kind of a deprioritization to show the kids that maybe school is not that important.
Right.
And then you're right, because the judge could feel differently about it and say, well, I don't see the kids.
Well, that's something I feel like judges would be more inclined to care about because they've all gone to school, right? Like they're academics, right? They've gone to extended school. And so for them, school is important and missing school is important. And I've brought that up in a case before where, all the absences are on mom's time for a 12-year-old. That's ridiculous. How could it possibly be, it can't be statistically that the kid only gets sick when mom's there Mondays and Tuesdays, right? Mom just didn't want to get up in this particular case and get them out of the house. And so are your kids, when they're missing school, both are missing or they're all missing at the same time?
Yeah, for the most part. There's maybe a few cases where one of them does go and the other one stays home. Those ones are I think actually legitimate cases.
Right. So when they're all three not going, that's not legitimate, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree on that.
You know, I think she's doing what it sounds like she's just kind of doing what she wants to do on her parenting time and not really, doing the things that are in the best interest of the kid. And just like we talked about with McKenna, again, everything has to be focused on the best interest of the child, best interest of the child, you know? And so while I understand religiously the baptism is important, I don't think that, the judges would, that could be just as an example, but I really think the school thing is very compelling because you could have one or two, maybe four absences, but 16, 20 absences. I mean, there aren't even a ton of school days, right? And
Yeah,
they're missing full school days. That's absurd.
yeah, I agree, and this again, this is the kind of feedback I'm looking for. And so the next, I guess, follow-up question to that reaction is, how does this legally turn into an argument, and what are my options? Because I've thought about, changing the parenting plan, which could affect legal decision making, but I also have to remain real with my own
Right.
capabilities. I'm still working,
Right.
and so I would have to figure a way to like get the kids babysit or just not
Right.
really babysitting. My work is thankfully
Get them
flexible.
to school. Well,
Yeah,
here's the thing. The legal decision making and the parenting time, totally separate issues. So, for as far as not being able to make decisions, like where she's delaying, she's just not responsive, that would go towards legal decision making, right? And then does she have the ability to prioritize their welfare, which is going to school, right? Um, that's legal decision making. And then parenting time, yeah, can you really take on more of the parenting time? Are you going to be able to adjust it and then actually be able to get them to school and stuff like that? Or is there a way that if you file something or tell her you're going to file or have a lawyer send her something like, look, these school absences are highly, suspicious. Your lack of response time, I mean, really, it's true. If she doesn't care what anybody thinks except for a judge, I mean, you may have to file something, but you can file something and then come to an agreement before you even see a judge, right? Um, but DCS can get involved in school absences, you know.
yeah. I don't want to get DCS involved.
I know.
It's here's the thing is that mom is extremely resistant to doing any kind of co-parenting accountability and that whole 9 yards thing. It's the force of the court seems to be the only way that any kind of progress is made, which
Mm-hmm.
is why I was saying earlier that even though my previous petition was dismissed because it didn't meet the high threshold of
Right.
compliance or even the
Right.
children are in danger, but it the it got her attention enough to like okay, you know
Right.
he's gonna do this, and that's I don't feel like it's appropriate that I should have to show threats to the like look 3 years is a long time to try and come to decisions, but it should not have to come down to the threat of a looming court date to get her to be motivated, and so I'm trying to
Well, there
avoid
doesn't seem to be any other way you can get her motivated, though, right?
no matter of logic or like explaining how the difficulties between us getting a decision or what the children say they want. It's just I'm talking to a stone wall.
Why is that? Is that how it was during the marriage? Is she mad about the divorce? What?
No, it wasn't like that at all during the marriage. The
Hmm.
marriage was like you would say the kind of the honeymoon thing, but it was
Hmm.
when we started disagreeing on certain parenting elements when things started to crack and crumble. And then ever since then, because of the divorce, it was a pretty nasty divorce. Um, it just hasn't been at all any way amicable. Where it it has. I don't want to. I'm not trying to throw labels out here, but I do believe there's some kind of personality disorders in this because um, there. It just seems that if it doesn't happen her way, then it's not going to happen. And so the only way agreements have been really successful or without much contention is if I'm willing to just do what she wants. That is
Right.
a fact. Because there have been other decisions where we've made together without much contention, but it's
Right.
mostly like going along with what she wants because I don't really care about what the other options. And my example being orthodontics, or my oldest again, he needed braces. That's just like, I think, common sense. Yeah, he needs braces, and that was it. And we had a slight disagreement as to where, but I was like, I don't care who does these braces. And since she had braces growing up, we decided to go to her doctor, her original doctor, who she had. I'm like, that's fine.
Right.
But early on, before she said that, I was like, look, you need to get him braces. And she was like, well, I don't know if I want to do that. And it's like, I want to find someone else to do it. I'm like, we've known now for a few months that he's going to need braces. Anyways,
Well, it does sound personality disorder to me as well. And they're just very hard to work with when somebody has one. And just, I mean, you and McKenna are dealing with a lot of the same kind of how do you manage these things with someone who's unreasonable, right? And not doing for the best interest of the kids, and then the court isn't super supportive. I don't know if you or McKenna tried, and I don't know how, other than a court order to get the other party to do it, the FIT parenting plan. It's through Maricopa County. It's their families in transition. It's for high conflict, which, both of you could say, well, it's not high conflict, but, it's conflict, right? People should be able to sit down. Neither of you, if you went to mediation, would be able to work these issues out, right? And so then a judge is forced to make a decision, and judges don't like to make these decisions, you know?
I agree with you, and so just to add a little more context to the baptism thing was, it's been 3 years,
Right.
which is more than what I've been telling you since the petition. So there's been some significant time passed. We went through mediation. She had an attorney. We came to an agreement through her attorney. We even litigated the issue last year, which is where that year long I'm still needing to wait technically ended.
Right.
But it's been through everything, and just now we were able to finally get a date set. And again, I think it was due to the fact that there could be a looming court date that she finally was like, oh, okay, I just can't get it, so all right, fine.
Right.
She feels that if she doesn't do that, then she's going to face consequences. And I'm not looking for this to be the smoking gun to change everything, but what I'm getting at is, navigating the situations where you can't come to an agreement because we still have two other kids. I know,
Right.
and don't want to be making decisions that take 3 years to get through. And it's just a problem that is going to perpetually stay around if one of us doesn't have final say. And it's like, look, I'm not trying to do things that you don't want. It's just that you won't commit to a date, and after several attempts to respond, like with a deadline, I'm giving her like 2 months. Like, can you please respond by this date? If you can do this, and then she doesn't respond, and then says she promises to follow up, and it's not for another few months until she follows up. And at this point, I'm just like, I don't feel like you're really serious about this.
Right.
And so I'm just kind of wanting to point out to the court here, like, look, I don't think it's in the children's best interest that their lives be put on pause because we can't make decisions together. And even though we can, I don't think 3 years is reasonable, and that's, in my opinion, not in the best interest of the child, even if we can make an agreement.
Right.
And so I mean, I have my own opinions on this, but it's that's why I'm reaching out. I wanted to see your reaction, what you have to say, and keep myself grounded on things, because I don't want to go in thinking, oh yeah, I got this, hermetically sealed, airtight case here that's
Right.
perfect. But
Well, and that's the thing. Again, it's always 50-50 with judges. And I mean, what I think and what I thought was compelling, and then I go to court and it doesn't sway some of these judges. I mean, some of these judges, I just think of them as like boy in the bubble type of people, where they just grew up in a bubble and they don't really have real world experience or something. They're not understanding the issues, you know. I mean, judges are bounced around from bench to bench, and so they don't really get, like, I want for judges, you know, if you're a family law judge, that's it for your life, right? Like, unless you change and like really, like, they have to be trained and educated, and they're not. They literally like come on the bench, and you know, they may have never had these kind of conflicts in their own personal life, and so they don't seem to understand it. To me, everything you're saying is compelling, right? I would find this so frustrating. And for everyone here, I put in the chat there's the Families in Transition program. It's just online. But I had a client who was in a very high conflict situation, and she and her ex were ordered to do this. The ex hadn't done it yet, and he was the problem. But she did it, and she loved it. And she said that she wished that um, the other members of her family, like her extended family, should take it too. It's literally like 4 hours, but it's super helpful. And you're just kind of stuck. And all you can do is, you know, collect your evidence like you have been, and then just go and make your argument again in court and hope that you get in front of a sympathetic judge. Because both you and McKenna are doing the right things, right? You're just kind of getting um, not the results you want. My opinion is probably because of the judge.
Yeah, well, the judge is definitely the biggest factor in getting anything accomplished or moving things forward.
Right.
I guess, you know, what I would love to just know if you happen to have any kind of, like, I don't mind reading case law, and if you have any kind of specific statutes or just like element factors to focus on. Like, I know there's several factors.
No, and I'll tell you, here's the thing, the factor, I mean, you just do the best interest statute, you know that statute, right?
Yeah.
And it's really about the best interest of the children. And I mean, I went to a continuing legal education last year, which had a judicial panel. So there were, I think, 7 judges. And, you know, they sat up there and told us what was compelling to them and what wasn't. Some people, it bothers them when people are mean to animals. Some people, it bothers them when kids don't go to school. I mean, they're literally, it's like what you need to do, and you're probably not going to be able to find this information, is research on the judge themselves. And so, like, I referred a client recently to an attorney in our firm. I don't represent people, I just do the consultations, but to a particular attorney, because this client was being accused of contempt by the judge. And I'm like, this client or this attorney went to school with the judge, went to law school with the judge, knows the judge, this attorney's great legally, but she also knows the judge, right? And so sometimes we have to know what is compelling to these judges. And the only way to do that oftentimes is to actually have an attorney who knows those judges, right? So I often tell people, like, I'm in Pima County, and when I was in court, so in Tucson, and you know, an attorney from Phoenix walked in, everybody knew it, right? And the attitude, and then the judge would immediately be like biased against that attorney, just culturally, right? It's so different. So I always tell people, get an attorney who practices in that area, who knows that judge. Like, I can read judges, right? So I mean that because I was a cop and I've done this work for a long time. You can see if you're having any effect on them or not, generally, right? And so you have to be able to shift and pivot during even a hearing, which these are such limited hearings. You get half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour sometimes to make a case about something that could affect a kid's life, right? And so you have to be able to read the judge and shift. That's why I was asking McKenna, did the judge ask any questions? Because I've been in hearings, I think every hearing I've ever had, the judge has asked questions themselves, you know, which never would happen in criminal. It's not allowed, but it happens in family, which I think is interesting, because then it helps the judge to make a decision, but also then you see what is that judge interested in, right? And so again, if the judge isn't religious, they're going to be like, who cares? Who cares about the baptism? But every judge is school motivated, you know?
Yes, and I was thinking about what you're saying. You getting to know the judge. Attorneys are great. I just can't afford one. The fact that it was already costly to go through the divorce itself.
Right.
I'm thinking maybe just going to the law library and looking at all FCRs of that judge, and just kind of watching, you know, certain cases where people are at trial and just seeing kind of what the judge's demeanor is on certain issues.
I mean, that's what some attorneys do, right? Like, or because, like, with our firm, we have internal, messaging, right? So it'd be like, hey, does anyone know about this judge? Is this judge? And so I asked on that one where she's, threatening the client with contempt. And I'm like, does anyone know about this judge? And they're like, yeah, she's serious. So when she says that, she means it, right? So then I tell that client, you've got to hire somebody who knows that judge and who that judge is going to respect and be able to, argue their way out of this, not based solely on the law, but based on what will appeal to the judge, which is unfortunate, but that is the reality, right? So the best, you have to paint a picture. So there's a documentary called Making a Murderer. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but that appellate attorney, she only does, I think she did medical malpractice, but she took on this murder case, right, to do the appeal for this guy. And, she said the best thing a lawyer can do is to tell a story, right? And so it's a real art of getting in there and being able to tell the story that is compelling in the way. So for McKenna's case, like the driving of the kids that far, okay, the judge doesn't care that the parent, they're like, oh, whatever, you had kids and now you're divorced, it's your problem, deal with it. But like what that will do to the kid, right? And so in your case, it's like, what is the story here? The story here is your children are suffering by lack of school, like missing out on activities that might have happened that day of school, that no 11 and 9-year-old 8-year-old should be missing that much school, right? And how does that hurt them? And so that's your storyline, is like, how are these things hurting them, and how is it that your ex's like inability to respond in a timely manner is causing harm to the child, right? Well, you're not able to make quick decisions. Your child's not baptized. For you, that's very important. That's like a thing about their soul, right? And so you tell it in a way that takes out, like, I mean, I get your reliance, on the law, but you already know the statute we're applying here is the best interest of the child in both of your cases. But tell me the story of how this is affecting the kid, right? How this is going to hurt the kid.
Great
Does that
feedback.
make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, and I think that's where I think I lack, because honestly sometimes I feel like I don't articulate well what is,
Well, you're very articulate, right? Like, you're super articulate. It's just, and I get the focus on the law, but that's like, even when we're submitting like a pretrial statement or whatever, the feedback that I had on this judicial panel is less is more. Like, people want to make sure that they get in every last law or this or that, and that is good for appeals, right? But appeals are rarely successful, and in family court that can drag on for years. And the other thing for both of you is, how do you work with a difficult ex, right? Do you just let them have what they want? No, you might try that for a while. It doesn't work. Okay. Finding out particularly what is that person's issue, and then trying to work with it that way. And there is a lot of manipulation involved in that, Like, yeah. I do tell people all the time, like, you have to, it's a long-term strategy of, how am I going to work? What really, I mean, there are some people that you just cannot work with, and you just have to keep going back to court and getting an order, right? But then there are some people you find out what it is, what is motivating them. Is it money? Is it like, let up on the child support and they'll give in here? Is it their ego? Is it, are they still upset about the divorce? Are they a control freak? And with control freaks, those are the hardest, because they want control over anything else,
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. I think it is a constant power struggle on certain things, though. Again, like I was saying earlier, if it's not how she wants it, then it's just not going to happen. She'll drag her feet. So
Right. And so the only way is yeah, just slap her down, right? And the only way with her seems to be through the court. And also, both you and McKenna just keep documenting. And this is the unfortunate part of co-parenting relationships is that they last, they could be 9, 10, 12 years, whatever, depending on when, you split up. And it is really hard. Like if you didn't like things in the marriage, you're really not going to like things in the divorce because people just become generally, not always, but a little more difficult, right? And now you've got the cost of two households and you've got to involve lawyers and it just gets incredibly expensive. But people say, oh, it takes two to tango. Well, it doesn't always take two to cause problems, right? You can have one high conflict person or one avoidant who will drag everything out, who will make everything worse. And so then it's like, pick my battles and what you've been doing, cost benefit analysis. Am I going to really get anything if I go at this time, right? And so pick the issues. So use the baptism as support for your argument that she's delays, and then use the school stuff as this is how this kind of thing is affecting the kids,
Yeah. Hey, that's great feedback. I really appreciate it. I didn't have anything more than just those two things, and my issues, the ex are just kind of ongoing, but they're all kind of on the same resonant frequency.
right?
You know what I mean? It may not be school, it may not be a baptism, but it could be something else. But the fundamental issue is still there. It's just,
Right. And it's unfortunate, and I'm sorry I don't have more like concrete answers, but it is really like it's an art of how much can I endure? When do I take action? What can I put in an email that doesn't seem extorting, but yet is like putting like I'm going to take action against you, right?
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. It's very hard. And I feel for both of you. And you just, I think, need to keep doing the evidence and look at that FIT class because if you take that, just do it online. I believe it's free. That may also give you some insight and guidance. But, dealing with any personality disorder person or controlling personality, all you can do is continually try and basically get what you can, get to what is, you're constantly negotiating, right?
Yeah,
And-
thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to thank you. I don't want to know you got like 2 minutes left, but and I know McKenna kind of cut off as if she had anything left, but I really appreciate what you had to share and just kind of talk that through with me. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Daniel. McKenna, I don't know if you're still there, but I think we'll wrap up. If you don't, do you have anything else? I think she froze. Maybe she froze eternally. Okay, so I think we're done. You guys check out the chat. And then if you need more help, just reach out to the law firm. Go back to the Navigator, look at the courses on there, and come back during our office hours. I think we're having 3 office hours a week. I think tomorrow is Billy. Okay? Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Tracy.
Okay, thanks, Daniel. Bye.